Welcome, Dungeon Plunger Union members. I have my +1 plunger, a cup of coffee flavored holy water, and a very special union member with me today to help plunge the dungeon and flush evil down the drain. This week we have Bridgett Jeffries, Chaosium's community manager, a scenario author, founder of Symphony Entertainment, and co-host of the Miskatonic University Podcast. Welcome to the show, Bridgett.
Hello. Okay, hi everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me. That intro was spectacular. I could listen to just that intro and get hyped for my storytelling. That is brilliant. Well done. Well done.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
I first discovered you on the Miskatonic University podcast.
Yeah.
And
Go
then
Pods. Thank you.
Go Pods!
Go Pods. Thank you for listening and supporting the show, by the way.
It's a great show. You and Dave do a great job. I miss that Keeper Murph isn't there anymore, but I like that you still got his sultry, sexy voice on the intro.
Yes. I tell you, your voice almost gets down to that level too. I was actually pretty impressed with that intro.
Oh,
Yeah. We love
okay.
some Keeper Murph. We miss him, but Lord, do we love him.
Yeah, and then I discovered like, wow, you are like really involved in the hobby. Like, so how before we dive deep into that, how did you
Yeah.
get into gaming?
Okay. So here's what had happened was, and I'll try to keep this on the short side. So imagine Bridget, who is just as loud and obnoxious and flirtatious and all over the place as she is now, back when I was in high school. And it was my either my sophomore or my junior year. I think it was my junior year. I'm sitting in an AP calculus class, running my mouth off full speed to one of my friends because, of course, I am. I've got things to talk about. She's got things to talk about. My AP calculus teacher was like, "You're gonna be quiet," and I was just like, "Okay." And of course, I kept talking. So he wanted to put me in detention. So sophomore or junior Bridget, whatever, is in detention. And the way that he ran detention was like, let's say this class was, babe, I don't know, second period, eighth period, like the second to the last, period of the day. I had to just sit in his empty classroom and just be by myself and upset, not with my friends or wherever I want to go. So it was very humiliating. And it was a correction that I absolutely deserved. But I'm like, what, 16? You can't tell me nothing. I can talk to my friends. Anyways, I'm sitting in his classroom, babe, full in my feelings. And I mean, full in my feelings, full attitude. This is ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. And he gets onto this big whiteboard in front of me and he starts drawing like a mountain range and castles and starts throwing like formulas up on the table. And babe, effectively, what happened is my curiosity trumped my arrogance, my pride, and my frustration. And I just had to ask, I was like, what are you drawing? He goes, "Oh, this is for game tonight." I was like, I don't, I'm a black teenager from the inner city of Akron, Ohio. I have no idea what quote unquote that's for game tonight means. And he's like, "Oh, well, my friends and I, we get together every Friday night and we get together and we kind of tell campfire stories." And I was like, "Yep, nope, I still don't understand it." He's like, "Okay, skip all of that. Let me just tell you what's going on." So as he's on the board drawing up this map, he was the GM at the time. He was drawing out this map of they were playing, oh, Jason, what was it? It's not the red box. Was it? What's the one that does base stacko? Is that D&D second edition?
I don't know.
I think so. I think
It
it's
could be
second
second
edition.
edition.
I'm about to upset all y'all fans. I'm real sorry if I got that one wrong. It's been some minutes. I'm tired. So he starts going through. It's like, okay, so there are four characters in the game. There's a swashbuckler, and then there's like this cleric and this healer, and da 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 da. And they need to go save this princess, but she's in this tower, and there's this swamp, and this dragon is really upset because da 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 da. And I was captivated, completely captivated. I was in. So I listened to the story. I asked questions about the characters, and he knew all these responses. And like these were real, viable, like cool people doing really fun things. So the very next week, I go back to that same eighth period detention. I didn't get put in there. I went back of my own volition. And I was like, "Hey, Mr. Fox, did they save the princess?" Because Jason, of course they saved the princess. That's what happens and all. Nah, the princess died.
Oh, snap.
That was my reaction. I was like, "The princess died?" They was like, "Yeah, the swashbuckler, the rogue dropped the ball here, and the cleric did it done. The princess died. Now her family is." And I was like, "Whoa, what? The princess died?" I was like, "Well, what happens next?" Well, that happened the following week, and it happened the week after, and the week happened the week after, and finally he said, "Hey, do you want to come to my gaming group?" And I said, "Yeah." Yeah, I'm invested in these characters in this story now. I can't wait to figure out what's going on and watch and see what you guys are doing it. So, Jason, that's literally how I got introduced into gaming was because my 10th grade teacher put me in detention. I am going to put this quick disclosure out there. After he invited me, he said yes. He called my mama and was like, "Hey, I know I'm an authority figure at the school, and I'm about to start inviting your, teenage daughter into a basement with me and my other 40-year-old white guy friends.
Hmm.
If her grades slip, this is what happens. I will call you when she leaves my house at 1 o'clock in the morning to make sure that she gets home safely. And you know that she's on the road and da 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 da." So there were all these guardrails put up into place, and it was also one of the things like, and your daughter can't run around the school bragging that she's playing D&D with her AP calculus teacher. So we have to have some discretion and some communication here.
Okay.
Mom agreed, I agreed, and that's how I started. That's how I got into gaming.
Okay, I have to say, I listened to a lot of podcasts and I've done my fair number of interviews so far, and that
Yeah.
is by far the coolest intro to D&D ever. So you win the gold medal. You
Yes.
got the Golden Plunger Award.
Oh
And
my God, first time over and I'm Golden Plunger recipient. This is wonderful. I want to thank Mr. Fox and my mom and the viewers. And I just want to say, tell great stories.
oh, that's awesome. Oh man. Okay, so you go from that, and
Yes, sir.
now all of a sudden you have started Symphony Entertainment.
Yeah.
How does that happen? How
Babe.
do we go like how do you go to have a full on like so my understanding was that this started as a club,
Uh-huh.
but
Yep.
it's sort of grown from there. Is that
Since then.
so how does that happen? Tell me.
Yeah. I love it. I love the research that you put into your guests too. That really speaks to your platform and your integrity. So bravo on that. Yeah, so I did gaming in high school, did it in college, got out of college, found a group here when I relocated to back to Ohio after college and started going to gaming conventions. And I got exposed to gaming clubs at gaming conventions. So you know these clubs, the U2 Cthulhu's, the Road Cthulhu, Matinee Adventures, things of nature, like small communities that host games. They typically have either an IP that they stick with or like a flavor profile or something that is kind of consistent. If you want really great blah 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 games, go to the Adventures League and blah 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 blah. So I got exposed to those clubs, and at one point I got involved with Road Cthulhu, which was running out of Origins and some other conventions in Northeast Ohio. And I got put into the community side and the community building of standing behind a gaming platform. Loved it, and then finally was like, you know what? I want to do what they're doing, but I just want to do my own version of it. And that's how
Hmm.
Symphony came into fruition. My friend and I were driving back from, I think it was a little small convention in Cincinnati, and we were on 71 North coming home, and I was talking to him about it. It's like, I just have this idea that it would be cool if I had my own gaming club where I did this, this, and this, and this, and this. And you know how you're in the car and you're just
Yeah,
blah,
yeah,
blah,
yeah.
blah, 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 blah. He was like, cool, so go do that. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
oh. Okay. So I'll go do that, babe. And I did it. I did it in 2019. That's when Symphony was founded as an LLC. I debuted at UConn Gaming Convention in Ypsilanti, Michigan. And then the pandemic hit. And babe, you know this just as well as everyone else. It irrevocably changed the directionality of gaming
Hmm.
because suddenly you couldn't go to gaming conventions. You and your homies couldn't together at live tables. Everything went online. Then you start seeing all these actual plays going, a splurge in podcasting, remote gaming, Zoom gaming, blah, 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 blah. And I just kind of happened to found Symphony at the exact same time that the world collapsed. And gaming was one of those few places that we could go for retreat and distraction and relief virtually. And then that's how Symphony started running. I got into the industry professionally.
Oh wow. So in some ways the pandemic was a good thing for you.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely did. Yeah. Yeah.
So at this point, you were already like full on like a disciple of Cthulhu. You were like into the Call of Cthulhu scene, or were you playing other games before that?
I was playing other games before that, and then when I got turned out on horror, I got turned all the way out on horror, and I
Mm.
haven't looked back yet. I play some other games here and now. I will sign on for contracts to play other genres of game, but horror is just my happy place, babe, and it's where I hang out full time at this point.
Okay, well, I mean, I think that's a good segue point. So what is it about horror that grabs you? Because to be honest, like one of the things that I love about listening to you when you're on the oh geez, man, when you're on the Miskatonic
It's
University
late.
podcast, um, You are, I mean, even right now, I mean, you are so full of life. You are the most jubilant person that I know. And
Holy
yet,
hell, babe.
like, horror. Do you know, like, most people, when you think about someone who loves horror, they're like the dudes that wear the death metal shirts and the eyeliner, and they're like in the basement with their, like, their Hellraiser puzzle box. And, you know, and you'd be like the last person I'd be like, what?
What?
Bridget's into the horror? Like, so tell us a little bit about that. What is it?
So this answer changes daily depending on how I feel. So you're getting tonight to answer. I think horror is a great contrast to who I am as a person because I am very loud. I'm very bubbly and I'm very flirtatious and I'm very all over the place. And horror brings a great contrast to that one. But babe, if I'm being honest with myself in this moment, I think the thing I love most about horror gaming is the way it makes me feel and the way I navigate feelings and tension and
Mm,
fear and hopelessness and hope. All of those things, just in my experience, I get to, for the way Bridget is wired, I get to tell bolder, more visceral, stronger, and broader and more colorful stories when I'm in a horror arena. I no longer get excited about throwing 12d6 fireball against a dragon. I
mm.
just don't. I just don't. That's just not what drives me. And I'm not saying that's wrong for it to drive anybody else. It's just not what's on my palate. I don't like cantaloupe either. So it's not like the end of the world. There are things that drive us and there are things that don't. But if you put me into a situation where I have to embody a character and I have to make a hard decision, or I have to really dig into what does grief mean in a moment to this character, or how do I ride the line between fear and discomfort for myself while I'm embodying a character, that's where I get my potential thrills, not my potential, that is where I get my thrills from in storytelling. Horror just gives me a canvas that I love to paint on because there are so many different directions you can go with it depending on the table and the content and the mechanics and the system. Just like horror movies, some people love their slasher films. Some people
Right,
love their what's another genre of horror? Their emotional horror, their political horror, their psychological horror. There's
right.
all different types of horror, and I love that menu that I can choose from to kind of like create my own little meal that I'm going to serve or be served.
I
So for
like
me, it's
that.
how I feel. I feel more charged when I'm playing or running horror games.
So, setting aside Call of Cthulhu, what would
hmm
be another horror RPG that you're big into?
Oh, babe. Okay, I'm gonna throw out a couple and see if you've played them. Have you done
Sure.
Alien the RPG from Free League Publishing?
I have not done it yet. It's on my shelf, and I have a guy, my friend Carl Danko, who's like raring to like run an alien game for us.
hmm
So it's coming. I've heard really, really good things about it.
Okay. One, I hope it blows your socks off because it's one of my favorite horror games. Just very quickly on Alien, two of the things that I really speak to me is one, that IP is delicious. Like xenomorphs are just fun. They're fun to run from, they're fun to fear, they're fun to contemplate, they're fun to break down, they're fun to die from. And Bridget enjoys watching a xenomorph run through 30 people in a movie. I don't care what TV show or movie it is. It's just fun to watch. I love rooting for them and being terrified of them simultaneously.
Mm,
But, Jason, the one thing about, and I'll just say this very quickly, with the Alien, the RPG, the way Free League Publishing has it set up, the storytelling is very narrative in the horror. So, like, let's say
mm.
I'm your mother, because that's the GM designation to Alien, your mother.
Nice.
I'm mother, and if I'm running a xenomorph, I don't just say the xenomorph falls from the ceiling and grabs you. No, there's a 1d6 chart. And the chart might be three, and the three might be the xenomorph slowly, unrolls itself from a ceiling grate that you didn't know was open and it drops to the floor. It stares at you. And even though it's eyeless, you can see this creature seeing through your soul. Make a panic roll.
Mm, okay.
Much different flavor. Just
Yeah.
a much different flavor and variability. Like you might hit a six, and that answer is it picks you up and pulls you through the ceiling and takes off 2 squares away from you. Okay, that's a lot different than like, let's hit it with my sword or let me shoot at it.
Yeah.
Like, so Alien the RPG is a big one. Have you done Dread yet?
I did one time I played Dread. We did a one shot. That was pretty awesome.
I was about to say, did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
I did. I did. I learned a very valuable lesson during that game because we figured out we had a friend who had really, really big hands,
Uh-huh.
and he was able to like pick up the tower. And so we were able to do things. And I kind of felt like, it broke the game in the sense that like we lost that whole sense of dread that you're supposed to get from pulling out the Jenga pieces, right? And I was like,
Because he
oh,
had the tower under control.
yeah, and I was like, that's the exact antithesis to what that game is about. So, yeah,
Right.
I felt like while I definitely still enjoyed the evening. I would
Uh-huh.
definitely play it again, but I would definitely not allow it to be done that way. It's like,
Do that way again. I would
yeah.
agree on that one. I would agree on that one. Okay, so here's my reverse question for you. When you were interfacing with the tower, and viewers, if you're not familiar with Dread, the system is really straightforward. There's no numbers on your sheet. Your sheet is all narrative based on 13 questions, and all of your pass, win, or fail conditions are pulls from a Jenga tower. If you topple the tower, your character is removed from the game. Hard stop. So there's a lot of stress and anxiety that goes there anytime the GM says, well, in order to pick that lock or to escape this monster, you have to do three pulls from the tower. And you're already
Mm.
looking at the tower and the tower is looking at you and just like, I'm going to die in this moment. There's a lot of tension. So, Jason, here's my question for you. Before Big Hands went onto the tower and was controlling it, how did you feel when you had to pull a block?
Oh, you feel a sense of fear, a genuine sense of fear, which is something that's very challenging to make actually happen at the table. I
Hmm.
and I don't know how to replicate that. Like I'm running Masks in Arlahotep right now, and
Hey.
I'm having a great time doing
Hmm.
it. And I've definitely had some moments where my players were like, "Holy crap, this is intense."
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like it's not the same kind of pulse pounding feeling that you get from, like, okay, there is an actual tangible thing that's going to happen. And just the
Yeah.
clattering of that tower onto the table,
Oh, God.
like that can give you like that actual almost jump scare that a horror
Woo!
movie could give you, right?
For sure. For sure. That's why I love horror gaming. When you can imitate that type of sensation of the storytelling. Another one I'll do is just really fast in the horror circuit is 10 Candles. Have you played that yet?
Okay, I have heard of this. Actually, I interviewed Leslie Horn, XP Lovecat,
She's
and
brilliant. Good for you.
yes,
She's
uh,
so brilliant. She's walk on water gold.
I agree 100%. When I told her that I was trying to, or that I was planning on interviewing you, she was like
Mhm.
super stoked. She's like, "You go." She's like, "You." I don't remember the exact quote, but she basically said the same thing that you said about her. So,
Leslie's
um,
brilliant.
but yeah, no, I've heard that's very cool too. Again, with the
Yeah.
and she suggested, because I was like, oh, I don't want to set my house on fire, and she was like,
Right.
no, she's like, Jason, how about you use like electric tea lights
The tea lights. Yep.
instead of like actually using real fire? And I was like, you
Absolutely.
know what? This is maybe why men don't live as long. Ah.
It's okay. Listen, she saw the forest, you saw the tree, y'all found each other. It's fine. It's fine. Everything
There
worked
you
out.
go.
Everything worked out. Yeah, baby,
So,
that's another horror system that I'm a big fan of. And I'm just doing splash mechanics for your viewers so they can hear them. But one of the cool things about 10 Candles is on the front end, you record your final message to
okay.
yourself or your loved ones or your family or your friends or whatever your situation is, but you record your dying message to them. So this is the message you would leave on someone's voicemail as you knew the plane was getting ready to go down, or the
Wow.
message you would leave on your mom's voicemail while you're huddled in the back corner during a school shooting. It's that last message when you
Jeez.
know everything is getting ready to fall apart for you. And then you play the game and everyone dies at the end. That's up fronted on the front end. It's a TPK. And then at the end of the story, when your nervous system has flown all over the place, you're just now coming down, the GM has called game, they pull out the recorder and you listen
Oh
to
my
the
God.
final message that you left to that loved one after you've played the game. And babe, it's one of the most haunting, grounding, uncomfortable, and visceral mechanics that I've seen in horror, and I love it. It hits me every time. I have not played 10 Candles once where I got to the end recording and didn't start crying.
I was like thinking the same thing myself. I'm like, I don't know if I'd be able to like do that. Like that sounds like, are we here to have fun or are we here to like have a cry fest?
Yeah, it's
But
brilliant.
I did not know about that part about the recording your thing. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's intense.
So
Yeah.
how, so you moved on, you became you got was it did you get uh, so
Oh,
were
you're fine.
you a part of Chaosium before you joined the Miskatonic University podcast, or did you do that like after?
Shit, babe, that's such a great question. Bridget genuinely doesn't remember because the pandemic, so much of that
Yeah,
was just a
so
blur, right? From 2019 to 2025, I'm convinced those are all the same year. Um, it just at some point, baby, both of those, I think I onboarded with both companies and podcasts during the same year, or at least the same 6 month window or something of that nature. I had written an article about self-publishing on the Miskatonic repository for Gnome Stew.
right.
And somebody from Chaosium saw that article, mobbed it, and reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to come work for us?" And I was like, I mean, duh. I mean, yes, sir. Yes, I would love to come and work for Chaosium. That sounds awesome and terrifying. Yeah, let's do that. And baby, I think somewhere along that same line, someone else picked up either on that article or the fact that I was self-publishing on the Miskatonic repository and referred me over to Murph and Dave. And Dave reached out to me. It's like, "Hey,
Mm,
can we bring you on as a guest on the show to talk about some of the fun stuff you're doing?" And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. What I didn't know is them heifers set me up on the front end. They brought me on as a guest, but they had me reading copy, and I didn't know any better. I'd only been on
mm.
a podcast once or twice before. And so I'm reading copy and following along, and it's like, "Great, we want to offer you a hosting job with us because basically you just hosted the show." I was like, "I didn't host it." Like, "You were reading copy." I was like, "All guests don't read copy." I didn't know. I didn't know. Oh, yeah, okay, sure. So, baby, at
Wow.
about the same time, I think.
So that's amazing. So it it almost sounds like you fell into this.
Yes, sir.
This sounds like the story of like finding out that your parents were actually wizards and that you're like going off to Hogwarts. Like that's incredible. Did it is it as simple as that sounds? Is that how it was? Or was there like a lot more work and other stuff that kind of went underneath that got you to that point that people are kind of like underestimating? Like, listen, man, I put in the work. I did the effort.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of work that goes into it. Just like everything, the finished product is all anyone really cares about. They don't really care about the nights you spent, crying yourself to sleep because something was rejected or you missed a deadline or you don't think your content is good enough or you don't know how to even start with the content or you're afraid to ask for help or who to ask for help. So no, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it on the background that just isn't, this is going to sound really terrible, but I'm just going to be super transparent for you.
Hmm.
It's not good forward facing content. I'm sure your viewers don't want to hear what I went through emotionally just to
Right.
get my first scenario published, or the fact that the first episode that Dave and Murph invited me to, I lied to them and told them I wasn't available an hour before because I had a panic attack. Like no one wants to
Right.
hear those stories, but like, and that's and honestly, I joke. I canceled them an hour before and lied to them and said something like I had missed my schedule or whatever. But honestly, I'd had a panic attack and was too afraid to get onto the show. Like no one wants to hear those stories, but no, there's a lot of work and
I don't
effort
know.
that
I
goes into it.
I think I kind of disagree because I think that people would see you as this person who's so forthright and confident and bubbly, and then to like ha- I don't even think they could imagine you being in a place where it's like, no, dude, I'm a person. I
Yeah.
struggle. I have my fears, and my challenges to overcome. So I think that's really valuable, and I'm glad that you brought that up. That's I
Holy
think
hell, baby. Well, thank you for the question that brought me there. I appreciate that. Thank you. I
oh,
hadn't considered that perspective, but I will actually digest and eat on that one
nice.
because you're probably right.
I mean, I just think like I look at how hard you're working. Like you're everywhere. I've noticed like so like in my limited, I did a little bit. I don't want to say I did a lot, but I did a little bit
Yeah.
of research. And I mean, you are on a ton of actual plays.
Hmm.
And so like how many are you doing right now?
Oh God,
Like
at the time of recording.
more than four?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeepers.
Yeah, there's baby. I'm on Massive Nyarlathotep with Red Moon Role Playing. I've got MUP, I've got Symphony. I just signed a contract with Multi Something Media. And I have another one. So at least six right now that I'm doing
Wow.
campaign plays with right now. Yeah. And listen, if you want to have a whole conversation about being vulnerable and honest, this industry doesn't pay well. Hard stop. For everyone
Well,
that's like, "Oh, I would love to work in gaming." It's like, "Well, I hope you love being broke."
so that was kind of my question. It's like, are you actually making money off of this in terms of like that's your full-time job is doing this, or is this like a side hustle for you and you're like you've got a regular job that you do in addition to all this?
Yeah, no, 50-50. I work with Chaosium and I'm a 1099 quote unquote full time over there as their community coordinator. But I have to supplement my income because, again, this industry just doesn't pay well. It's a dream come true to be able to work in it, but like I'm also driving for Lyft and Uber Eats to get my bills paid.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
one of
Okay.
one of the things I do is I supplement my income through Symphony's Patreon, monetization on YouTube and Twitch. And then these contracts that you guys hear me on, these episodes, 9 out of 10, I'll say 7 out of 10 times, I'm likely getting paid for it. It's a performance contract, and that's work. Red Moon Role Playing, God bless them. I love their faces so much. They're paying me to play Master Nyarlathotep, which is great.
That's amazing.
Isn't that incredible? Oh my God, such a blessing and a half. So yeah, I'm working hard because, like, listen, I'm in an all electric house. Winter is coming, and my electric bill alone is about to be $600 for 4 months. So a
I,
lot of it is I enjoy it, yes, but I'm working because this is a job for me. It is an income. There's a reason why I upcharge for events when I do appearances at Origins or Gen Con or things of that nature, because this is literally my livelihood. It's what I do for a living.
so does that diminish the joy of the game for you? In it?
Ooh. Babe, that's one a brilliant question, by the way. There's a balance. I made a decision that I would quit this when I started burning out on gaming.
Mm,
Because it's a common thing when you start transferring your hobbies to work and monetization, or you start onboarding family into the business, there's some complications there. So I made a decision just before I burned out, I would quit doing this because I don't want to lose gaming. I don't want to lose these communities. I don't want to
right.
lose, something I'm genuinely passionate about. So what I did, and it's been working so far, I found one game that I said, this is my fun time game. I can
Okay.
retreat here, just have fun. It's my local Vampire the Masquerade LARP. Like, this
Nice.
is my fun game, and I will work everywhere else. And right now, that is keeping me grounded and level. I have a play space, and then I have a workspace, and that's working for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So bringing up Red Moon role playing. So
Yeah.
I was not aware of Red Moon role playing until you were on the Arcane Keepers YouTube channel, which I know I'm not saying their channel right. I should
Let me go
have.
try to find it too. Armchair Keepers of Arcane
Yeah,
Lore.
that exactly.
Yep, that one.
And
Yep.
those dudes are so entertaining to like listen to. And you were on the show and I was like, okay, this is interesting. I'm like, and then I was like, okay, she's playing the game. So they're trying
Mhm.
to get, and then Red Mood role playing, Matthew Dawkins, you're like talking about how he's such a rad dude. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
okay, I need to get like at least go check this out because
Yeah.
I was just starting like I finished the Peru chapter now
Okay. Yeah.
and we haven't made it to New York yet because
Okay.
I'm running some side stuff before we get there.
Okay.
But Matthew completely like you the way you guys have been playing this game completely like blew my mind. Like my whole like way of thinking about running a game completely
Yeah.
changed when I was listening to him and to you and how you guys have been like doing this and his approach to the material and everything like that. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna get him on the show at some point. I
Yes.
definitely want to like,
Yes.
pick his brain on stuff like that. But I was kind of curious about your perspective
Hmm.
on things from a number of different angles. So
Okay.
like, first of all, when I listened to the show, and I don't want to give away any spoilers for those who haven't listened or might be
Yeah.
listening or want to play the campaign and that kind of stuff. But um how much like is all the role playing happening on the air like when that comes out or do you guys have like little session like discussions off and then it gets like edited out kind of thing? Because
Nope.
it felt
Mhm.
like at certain points during the show where it was like, that's interesting. Like it sounds like a decision had been reached and you guys decided to go somewhere and do something, but it wasn't role played out. And I was just curious if that was the
Oh.
case or if this was just straight up like we did like this many hours and this much gets on the cutting floor kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Red Moon role playing, that entire crew is amazing. I'm a big fan of Craig and Matthias. So, baby, all of the role playing happens on recording, but kind of like your episodes, stuff from this interview is going to hit the cutting room floor. So, there are some items that are cut. Now, I know on the Red Moon role playing Patreon, you can listen to the Raw. And if you get
Okay.
the Raw, it's weird. The whole table is some nonsense. The way we fuss at each other and shade each other. And I spend 80% of my time ridiculing Matthew Dawkins for something horrible he's doing to us that I absolutely love. And so, yeah, you can get the raw versions from there. But just for efficiency and cleanliness, yeah, a lot is edited and folded. So you might, we're human. So you might catch some hiccups where something is implied but isn't actually articulated. We may have had a
Right.
whole 20-minute scene about it, but you just didn't hear it in the
Right.
final cut. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I just have a couple reverse questions for you.
Sure.
You're running maths right now as well.
Yep.
What chapter are you guys in?
So I'm just getting ready. Well, I have a couple more sessions probably of my side quests, and then
Okay.
we'll start New York.
And then you're going to start New York. Okay, so your
Yeah.
players are kind of new onboarding into it right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you run it before?
I have not.
Have
This
you read the? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was scared shitless. This has been like one of those things that I've had on my shelf for like a really long time,
Yeah.
and I've always wanted to do it. And one of my friends on a Discord, Joey Richter, sorry, he has a podcast called Hindsightless, and he basically made the decision to run Wrath of the Righteous for Pathfinder because
Okay.
he was just like, this is the game I've always wanted to run. And
Yeah.
I've always put it off because I didn't want to, do it in injustice, but I need to run this game.
Yeah.
And so that's finally what I said. I said, listen, if I mess it up, I mess it up, but I need to exercise this demon and play it.
And get it. Good for you. Massive congratulations for facing down that fear because this shit is scary. So massive congratulations for facing it down and jumping into it. Genuinely good for you. Okay. Are you running in person or online?
Face to face, yeah.
I'm jealous. Big jealous. Good for you. Okay. You started this section of the segment of the interview off saying that Matthew Dawkins and the table had kind of changed the way that you were going to either approach the content or had been inspired by or something. This isn't me shifting or sifting for compliments. This is me honestly just asking from one storyteller to another. What is it that you're seeing on the table that is challenging the way that you run games?
I think it was more that Matthew really likes to lay out the scene.
Hmm.
And you feel like he's very much narrating the events, and it really gives you a very clear picture of like the environment, about what's going on, where people are. Um, and then he kind of gives spotlights to each of the
Yes.
characters. And to me, I wasn't really sure, and that was something maybe I was going to dig in with him, was like where those aspects came from. But like
Yeah.
um everybody gets their little spotlight.
Hmm.
Um and you genuinely feel like the villains and the NPCs that you're dealing with are like real characters,
Yes.
but
God, he's so
also
good at that.
that like you guys are genuinely feel like well-rounded characters as well, and
Yeah.
that it really feels like I don't know. Because I've had such a strong D&D background of like
Hmm.
we go into the dungeon, we do the hack and slash, and there's nothing wrong with that style of play,
Not at all.
but I've been looking for something different in my gaming, and so a lot of the
Yeah.
stuff that I've been um doing has been more of the sci-fi stuff, has been
Hmm.
more of the like, the horror. And so I think the realization that I took from him was that like you need to invest in the characters. They
Yeah.
can't just they you need to bring them to life. They need to be a little bit more than just these two-dimensional things. That because if you don't do that, then your players won't be invested, and then they
Yeah.
won't reciprocate. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening. I feel like you guys really like are feeding off of what he's throwing out to you, kind of like
Yeah.
when you're at a concert, and
Hmm.
the group comes on stage, they're throwing it out. But like I've heard people say like some of the frontmen or band members say, well, the crowd wasn't really there, like we weren't
Yeah.
really feeling it from them. and that
Yeah.
affected us as artists. And so we weren't really able to give as much of ourselves to them. And I think that's sort of the interplay that you kind of are looking for when you're
Hmm.
running a game. And so that's sort of how I've tried to shift my way of playing. And it definitely was all because of you guys. And so and like I'm not, I'll be honest, like I'm not an actual play dude. Like I
Hmm.
don't really enjoy actual plays, but your guys' actual play, I've listened religiously. I'm like 2 episodes behind right now, but I mean
Holy
that's
hell!
like
Damn, you caught up fast. Thank you.
yeah, but I mean like at one point because I'd listened to so much, I was like, oh, maybe I need to like get on the Patreon so I could do the Yog Sothoth one because I'm like, but even then there was like a different kind of flavor to it,
Yeah.
and I'm invested in your guys' characters, so I need to find
Yeah.
out what happens next. Um, so I
Thank
feel
you for
like
that, by the way. And
oh,
also, sorry to interrupt. Sorry, that was rude
yeah,
of me.
no
My
problem.
apologies, baby.
No, no.
Incredible articulation with the comparison to the going on stage and energetically feeling the crowd and going back. That was you stuck the hell out of that landing. I am stealing that and running with it. Thank you so much for that delivery. Great articulation. Sorry, please
So
continue.
just one of the things that I wanted to know was in terms of like your character, because there is like a very heavy like racism
Hmm.
and talking about, like Jackson Elias is a black man. I mean, I know in the original he wasn't. I think it was brilliant that Chaosium changed it up.
Yep.
Um, One of the things that I haven't had a chance to get my hands on was the Harlem Unbound book, which
Oh,
I've
baby.
heard really, really good things about. But I
Yeah.
already feel like overwhelmed enough with like 666 pages of like content that I'm like, I don't know if I
Right.
can really like add that.
Yeah.
Um, but like this, they're just like definite undercurrents or overtones
Hmm.
of racism in the campaign.
Yeah.
And so how so I guess I'll wrap this all up into like one thing. Okay, so
Okay.
like as a person of color,
Yep.
Lovecraft being
Hmm.
a racist, a bigot,
Yep.
um, and then with this particular campaign
Hmm.
where there's a huge amount of like racism that's going on, and
Yep.
Harlem being, this black community under siege, um, and then like sort of like the villains, sort of, there's a very, I guess, what would you call it? Like a
You talking about that damn cop? I hate that cop. You talking
yeah,
about the cop, the
he's
cultist? That
oh
cop
my
is. I hate that cop.
he's scary. That guy's
he's,
scary.
he's actually he's
And so like
terrifying.
so how do you reconcile all these things, and how do you feel about racism in games, and how do you handle it?
Yeah. No, great question. Listen, I'm gonna throw on my glasses and I'm gonna do this the lazy way because that's what we do as storytellers is get it done the best we can. One, I'm gonna make sure you get a copy of Harlem Unbound by the beginning of next week. Most of the Chaosium crew is sitting in GameholeCon right now, but I'm gonna make sure that you get a copy of Harlem
Oh my
Unbound
God.
because it's brilliant, just so you have it, but I'll make sure you have it.
I
But
appreciate that. That's
I
amazing.
got you, baby. Yeah, I'm happy to help out. One of the things that Chris Spivey has a whole section on, and I'll in Harlem Unbound is a big column that says Lovecraft was a racist in capital letters with an exclamation point. Yeah, yep, we know. I'm not going to read this entire segment, but I am going to pull out some of the higher points that I just personally agree with. So we all know it. Let's say it loud together for the people in the back. Lovecraft was racist. He was a misogynist, bigoted, and anti-Semitic. And I know some people will mention his Jewish wife, and you can read more about what Chris
Hmm.
Spivey says about that one. But anyone denying his abhorrent views is lying to themselves and you. But we are not here to focus on the man. We're here to focus on the work and how to elevate it. Per Chris Spivey, as a black man in the world, I am surrounded by racism spanning from passive to quiet to active and violent, which is something I completely agree with and is also my shared experience. On a daily basis, I choose what to take in and I choose what to shine light on in order to educate others. And I use my experiences to tell inclusive stories in an effort to illuminate that which has often remained unseen, which is a lot of time as black characters, black stories, and these struggles. Again, I won't read the entire thing, but I will drop down and say, and read. No matter how I feel about it, Lovecraft's work has a cultural impact, And I use his work, me professionally. I work for Chaosium, whose, flagship IP is Call of Cthulhu, based on Lovecraft work. And I use this work to make a better, more inclusive world. You can help by acknowledging the truth, dismantling it, and building a
Mm.
foundation of inclusion for what you have learned. We do this in game and in the real world. So say it with me, and then we're going to move on. Lovecraft was a racist.
Lovecraft
We'll
was a
use his
racist.
fear and pettiness for something better.
That's really neat. So
Brilliant,
Chris,
right?
it is. Chris is another guy that I definitely want to get on the show at some point.
Nab
Um,
him.
because I feel, like he's got a lot of good things to say
Yeah.
um yeah, I know we're you have something to do after this, so I just want
Yeah, and I know, and I'm
to
so sorry about that.
no,
Freaking
it's
recording
cool.
schedules. You got to love it.
No, it's cool. Um I feel like that's a really powerful answer to the question,
Yeah.
and I don't think that there's a better way to answer that question.
Bam. Thank you, Chris Spivey, for coming through and sticking that landing there. Yeah.
So like I said, I had a bunch of other questions that I wanted to ask you
Mhm.
about in terms of like, you've published a bunch of material and everything
Yes,
like
sir.
that. And you've written adventure scenarios,
Hmm.
and you're ambassador of the Miskatonic Repository. Um, and maybe we can talk about that another time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Invite me back.
I would
You
love
can holler at Chris Spivey and Matthew Dawkins, and then we can come
yeah,
together and talk about those. Yep, let's do it. Just
that
invite me
would be
back. I'm coming.
amazing. So before I let you go, I got two more things. What kind of advice would you offer to a new or veteran game master or keeper?
Oh, that's such a good one.
It could be either and or just one or all together.
No, yes, sir. That's a good one. I'll separate them. No, I'll separate them. So, to the veteran storytellers out there, I hear you when you say that you've been playing games since the Red Box edition. I hear you when you have a bookshelf that looks like yours and you have more content than I'll ever be able to afford in my life. I
Mm-hmm.
hear you when you say I've been running games for 20, 30, 40 years. I hear you. All of that experience is brilliant and it's valid. You can still learn something new. Do not stick your head so far into the dirt of your own experience that you're not willing to hear, metabolize, or recognize what's happening around you to be inspired to be a greater storyteller. You just told me, Jason, that you've been gaming for years. Look at the back of your shelf, and you told me that you had a fear of running a campaign because you didn't want to mess it up. But you listened to someone else saying, I'm just going to do it, and you allowed that to inspire you. You also just told me that you run games a certain way, and then you heard Matthew Dawkins do it differently, and now you're looking for ways to evaluate how he did it, the ways that he's getting it off, and how to integrate it into your own storytelling. So, you as a veteran gamer, my advice to you, don't ever lose that curiosity or that ability to take in something new and evolve because you can always get better.
That's that's perfect. I love it. And
Yep.
practice what you preach, right?
Practice what you preach. For the young gamers or the young storytellers, this one is just really easy. You're in your own way, so get out of it. I already know you are.
Mm,
You're in your head. You can't do it. Yeah, you can. It's not
yeah,
perfect. It doesn't have to be. I've never done it before. You'll never do it until you do it. Fuck it. Fail forward if you have to, but at least make the attempt and get out of it. You are the person that's in your own way. Just get out of your way and go try it. The community is great. We're telling stories. You're going to have bad experiences. You're going to have good experiences, but you're not going to have any experiences at all if you don't get out of your own way. So move and then go do you.
that is awesome. I need to get a tattoo that says that. Just, like everyday life, like get out of your own way, bro.
Get out of your own way. It's us. So often it's us. So often it's just us. Yeah, get out of your way, babe. You're in your own way. You'll be so impressed what you can do as soon as you move.
Well, this has been a pleasure. I am so happy to finally have had you on the show. You've definitely been on my list of influential. Hey, there we got hearts.
I know you got the hearts,
Oh.
baby. That's all for you. It's because I got the golden plunger. Oh.
Where before I leave you, where can people find you?
Yeah, baby, the two fastest places to find me is if you're looking to engage with anything symphony related. That means you want to hop onto my actual plays, you want publishing support, or you want to see the things that I've written, or you want to hire me for sensitivity reading or proofreading, blah, 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 blah. That's symphonyentertainment.com. That'll get you a link to my Twitch and my YouTube and my Patreon and da 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 da. If, hey, new people, hey, veteran people, if you are looking to publish your own Call of Cthulhu story, Chaosium pays me full time to help you get from I have a cool idea to I'm actually monetizing on Drive Through RPG. It's not as difficult as you are making it seem to yourself. I promise you, and I can help you bridge those gaps. And it's one of the things that makes me happiest about working over at Chaosium. So if you need to connect with me in that capacity, you're going to want to just email me at bridgett@chaosium.com. That is a bridge that you walk across with two T's at chaosium.com. And I can get you plugged in with resources, classes, communities, insight, inspiration, all this fun stuff to get you from, it's on my flash drive to you should be selling it and it's out in print now. Holler at
That,
your girl and I can help you get there.
that's amazing. Well, I will definitely have those in the link in my in the show notes. Links for your
Hey.
I got your Instagram and your Symphony Entertainment, and I even have a link to the podcast,
Let's
Miskatonic University. Go
go.
Pods.
Go Pods.
Um, but I just wanted to thank you once again for being on the show, and helping plunge the dungeon, flushing evil down the drain. And remember, because people don't know that I have these things, but I Dungeon Plunger is on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. And until next time, Union members, Plungers up.
Mwah.
Thanks again. Take
Bye,
care.
guys.
All right.